Hello there, this is Kush from Creative Pad Media. We're going to be looking at how Wisecut AI works for video editing. How can you edit your videos with a single click just by uploading them? So we've got this particular unedited video that we will be using here for an example for this review. And here I'm just basically making coffee. Water. So there's like inside of like an entire video, and throughout the video, it's like I'm changing the angles and you'll actually have not cut out anything. So even when I'm moving my tripod, everything has been included, and we're hoping that all these mistakes are going to be edited out by Wisecut. Okay, so let's head into Wisecut and let's see how things work. By the way, this is from my AI video editing course. So if you're really interested in checking out different tools and software related to AI video editing, do check out the course. The link will be given to the full course in the description of this video. All right, welcome back. So this is the first software which we are going to use to edit that coffee video. This software is called as Wisecut, and as the name suggests, hopefully it will exhibit some wisdom in cutting out the wrong parts. But not only does it cut things out, it also adds a lot of stuff to your video, which is really, really cool. Now, to get started off with, you'll just have to go to the website, which is wisecut.video. Okay. Most of these software, they're not going to have those typical extensions like .com. They'll usually be like .video, .ai. But don't worry, if you're confused about the link, just go to Google, type Wisecut, and you will be you'll see the link to this particular website. Once you are here on this website, you will have to sign up for a free trial by hitting this sign in button. When you do that, it'll ask you to create an account. You can create an account. And the moment you do that, just your normal stuff, you'll get an email notification and all these things. But more importantly, you'll be redirected to the dashboard. Since I already have an account, that free trial account, let me just sign in and show you how that dashboard looks like. All right, so this is how the dashboard will look like. Now you can see that I have already edited this particular video, and there's a reason why I did it beforehand, okay, because it can take a bit of time, like I'll be talking about later. But here you are going to see something like 0 GB out of 2 GB. That means on your free trial, you can upload videos which have this much size. That's another reason why I actually compressed this particular video, okay? So that we use less of space. That's like around 200 MB. So you'll just use, even after you're done with this project, you'll still have around 1.8 GB to play around with later on. So what you will be doing, because you won't be seeing anything here, you're going to hit this option which says new project, okay? And then you will hit add media. You're going to select that particular file, right? So here is the coffee unedited video, which is around 10 minutes long. So I'm going to just hit this, and we're going to hit this option which says upload one file. Then it's just going to take some time to upload this. So let's just wait for this to finish. All right, so the uploading process has finished. We're going to hit next, and that's pretty much it. You can now give it a name. Okay, so let's just call this coffee or anything. Doesn't matter right now. What is the language spoken in the video? I was speaking English, so I'm just going to select English, and that's it. That's all you have to do, okay? Now, there are some options which you can turn on and off, okay? So you have smooth cuts. So this is like AI will use its own algorithm to figure out how to, because it's obviously going to cut those unwanted parts, okay? But do you want like a sudden transition between, the scene from one scene to another when it cuts it, or you kind of just want it to give it a bit of gap so that it looks more natural, like it just doesn't cut it very abruptly, okay? So I suggest you just leave this option open. Auto cut silences, this is easy to understand. If it notices any silence in the video, it is just automatically going to remove it. And these two, they are kind of similar. They work together hand in hand. It's just that this is going to make it slightly more smooth, so it doesn't feel too jumpy, okay? So I leave this on, both of these on. Smart background music, so remember, we are kind of pretending we have some sort of a channel on YouTube, so it's always good to have these nice background music in these cooking videos. So I'm just going to leave this enabled. Auto duck, like remember I mentioned this in the intro video. So anytime I'm talking in that video and I'm explaining what to do with the coffee, so it's just going to decrease the volume on its own for this background music. So we'll keep this on. Auto punch in and out. This kind of scales the video. So it zooms in, zooms out when it feels necessary. Sometimes it doesn't work. okay? But we'll see. It completely depends on the video, okay? And do I want burnt in caption? This means, do I want some sort of captions and subtitles? Let's leave this also on. And trust me, this is all you need to do, and just hit create project. And the moment you do that, what's going to happen is basically just going to give you this notification which says it's in our hands now, and we'll send you an email when this is ready. And this is how most of the software, the AI software that you're going to be seeing in this course work. That means you do something and then they take their own time to finish that whole job, and they just notify you via email. Now the question is, how much time does this take? So I've used it a couple of times. First time I used it, it took around 12 minutes. The second time I used it, it took 14 minutes. The third time I used it, it took 15 minutes. Okay, so it, I think, also changes from video to video. But let's say it's going to take around 10 to 15 minutes. So be patient. So just wait for 10-15 minutes, and then let's see what kind of results do we get. Now I already have done this before. So if I go to my project list, so that we don't have to wait right now, I already have this ready, and I used exactly the same settings that you saw for the one that is currently being processed. Okay, so there's not going to be any difference. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to select this because this is already done. And the first time, okay, when you get that email notification that your job is done, they're going to give you this link. Okay, go back and see it. You're not going to see something like this. This is the final look. Let me show you what you will see. So if I hit this project which says edit project, okay, this button, you're going to see this page. Okay, so it's going to give you your project name, and it's going to give you a couple of tabs like this, with the first tab which says storyboard here. So that's what you're going to see. Now, this video on this first tab that you're going to be seeing, this is your original video. There's no change to this, okay? Because sometimes it can be confusing. You might start playing this and you might feel nothing has happened. This is your original video. It's just that next to it, now we have a storyboard, which just basically means it's actually telling you what are the scenes that the AI removed from this particular video. So you can see here. Like you can see, and it's even kind of showing you those captions where I'm talking, okay? So you can see, yeah, the next 3 scenes were there. Maybe the 5th scene was the one where I was kind of changing the angles, not talking, so it has removed it, okay? And you can see that's how it goes. So it's removed quite a number of scenes, okay? At the end, it'll also tell you how many scenes and all it removes, but we can come back to the storyboard anytime we feel that it has not done an accurate job, and maybe it removed a scene which was actually something that we wanted in the video, okay? At that time, we can come back to this tab by clicking on storyboard, and we can just hit this restore button. So it'll add it to the final output, okay? So we will probably come back to the storyboard after we've seen the preview at the end. So if we feel it's done a good enough job, we never need to come back to the storyboard. If we feel it's not done a good job, we'll come back here, okay? But right now, let's go to the next tab, which says translations, which is pretty easy to understand. If you want to translate this to any other language, you can do this by clicking these. We don't need to do that, so we'll skip this part. We'll go to music, and this is where, if you don't like, once we see the video under the preview tab, if we don't like the music that it has put for us, okay, then we will be able to change the video and select any of these tracks also, right? So pretty easy to understand. Then we go to settings here. If you want, maybe later on after you've seen your preview video, maybe you didn't want the music. So even under the settings tab, you can switch off some settings that you chose before the video was processed. So it's not like you're just stuck with those settings, okay? So you can change at least some of the options. Also, at this point, do you want to enhance the sound in the video? We'll probably come back to it and see if we need to do it after seeing the preview video. But point is, all these settings are here. It's also showing you the color of the subtitles that is going to give you. Maybe you can change that from here. So we'll come back to this. The most important thing that you will have to focus first of all is to see the preview video, just to see whether it's done a good enough job or not. So if we hit this tab, the last tab is where you actually see the final output. So straight away, if I hit play, even before I do anything else, if I notice this is 5 minutes, 22 seconds. That means it's pretty much cut this video into half. Now just imagine if you were doing this manually using a razor blade in one of those software like Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro. Just imagine going from, reducing the length to half, it can take a lot of time. Here, we've literally reduced that by a single click. We've literally not had to do anything. So that is the first thing, which is good. But the second thing is, yes, it has reduced that time, but has it done an accurate enough job? Let's see in the next video by running this video and seeing the quality of this output. All right, so it's time for the main test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this video and see how it goes, and anytime I feel I notice any kind of a fault or there's some point that I want to communicate to you, I'm just going to stop the video and then I'm going to commentate on that. So let's get started by hitting the play button. All right, welcome to this lesson on how to group. So first of all, straight away you can see that all the part in the beginning, which was supposed to be trimmed, it has done a good job because the video started right where it should be when I start talking about this thing. So it's got that perfect. Let's continue with this. So just be a bit patient. I know it's a bit of a long video, but it'll be good learning for us. Coffee using very popular mocha pot. So a couple of things that you're going to need here. You're going to of course need some coffee, which is ground for the mocha pot because these are very fine grains. All right, just one point. You might notice the focus of this camera jumping in and out. That's nothing to do with the software. That is completely my own fault. I usually use my DSLR camera to shoot videos, but in this case I was using my phone and I completely forgot to just turn off the autofocus. So it was kind of focus hunting because my hand is moving. So don't worry about that. That's nothing to do with Wisecut, okay? And also just start paying attention to the background music because I think it's sounding really good. Okay, so you can do it with your machine, or if you're buying it from somewhere, you can tell them that you're going to be using a mocha pot and they'll just grind it accordingly. Of course, you need the mocha pot itself. It has 3 parts, which I'm just going to be talking about. You need some water because we're going to heat the water. Of course, you need a mug to pour this. So I think it's doing a fairly decent job. Just to save time, I'm going to move to that part where we start boiling the water because there was a change in angle. Okay, so let's just see how it handles that. So just, before this. Okay, so we want that whole thing to be removed, right? So let's see, this will be crucial. Cold. It just takes too much time to heat and that can cook the coffee, giving it a metallic taste. So let's just do this here. All right, so as you can see, the water is heated now. So that was fantastic, right? It did almost, I think, absolutely a perfect job. It kind of gave that enough room to just have that bit of silence, and that's where that smooth cut comes into play. Remember the first option? So it's not just abruptly cutting it, right? So that's important. It looks and feels natural because just before I start talking about this, it just gave a bit of room, and that's how natural editing will also look like. So 100 points out of 100 till now. Okay, let's continue. So I'm going to just turn this off, pour this inside the base of the mocha pot, and now you need some sort of a cloth, okay, to pick this up later on like I've got here, but that'll come later. Now the next part is very important. This is the middle part, okay, middle element that is going to come on top, and this is where you're going to put the coffee. So this is very important that once you start doing this, like once I start. So again, I'm just going to fast forward, but I think this is pretty much, it will be able to handle it. Let's go to the next change of camera angle, which is when I start brewing the coffee. Okay, so we're just going to move a bit forward till the time we see that. Because I think till now music is good, the editing is good, no complaints so far. So that's where the change of the scene comes into play now. On the induction stove, then make sure this is done on low flame. And if you're doing... All right, so that's the first fault. I think it has just missed one scene here, right? So just notice this, the moment it changes, I'm already talking. There's no gap there, right? And I think it's just eaten up a few words. So that means an important scene has been removed. Let's just play this again. To hold this, and this is hot, remember? So you just need to, on the induction stove, then make sure this is done on low. Yeah. So we'll need to correct this by going on to the storyboard. So I'll just kind of notice this is around 3 minutes, 7 seconds into the video, okay? We'll continue playing the video now. Low flame, and if you're doing it on a induction like this, make sure the power here is really less. So I like to just use like around 300 watts. So just something like this is fine. And now it's just gonna heat this particular thing. So give it some time because we've preheated the water. This process is going to be fairly fast. You're going to hear like a gargling sound, which is the very popular mocha pot sound that you get once the coffee starts to come up. Be very careful, do not touch anything because this gets hot very fast. All right, so we'll wait for the moment till the time I hear that sound. Now you can see that we're here. All right, so I think that also was perfect because there was a bit of time between that sound coming in the mocha pot. So all that video had to be removed. It has done a fantastic job, right? Hearing that sound, the very popular mocha pot gargling sound, and that means the job is about to be done. Now, it's not recommended, something that I'll just show you right now. I often like to just open this guy and just check whether things are happening, but if you do that, just be very careful, okay? Because sometimes it can take a few minutes after that sound, depends completely on the vessel itself, okay, the quality and all. So again, one important thing to note here, when I was just talking about this, I was not particularly sure what I was saying because I told you the video wasn't rehearsed, I didn't have a script to follow, so there were a lot of these filler words that I was using, and it's good that it is intelligent enough to not remove that because it might have cut this part, like where I was not sure of what I was saying, right? But it hasn't done it, so it's pretty good till now, okay? But sometimes you go, if you want, you can check, but just be very careful that you don't touch anything or just give it 1 or 2 minutes after, or maybe 30 seconds after the gargling sound, and you're just going to probably get your coffee. All right, so I think I pretty much did an okay job. I just want to play this again because I think there's an extra scene. Let's just play after the gargling sound, and you're just going to probably get your coffee. All right. Yeah, so there's like one extra scene because if it were just directly jump to this scene where I'm opening up this vessel, probably that would have been better. So that's around, let's see. Okay, so just with 1 minute to go. So around 4 minutes, 20 seconds. Okay. So the coffee here is pretty much ready. Let's just see. If I open this up, you can see we've got a really beautiful smelling coffee here. The fragrance is beautiful, and what I'm going to do now is obviously I just have to perform the last step, which is important because one of the mistakes people make here is they pour the entire coffee. Okay, don't do that because this is like a concentrated espresso shot. Okay, think of it like an espresso shot. You don't want to pour the whole coffee, you just want to pour a bit of it like this, like just up to layer, like a shot, okay, and then fill it up, the rest of the thing with just hot water, okay, because then it's going to be like an Americano. But don't fill the whole thing and drink it, you'll get really anxious because this is really, really concentrated, but that's how you make black coffee using a mocha. Right, so I think that was perfect. It just messed up right at the end here. I think it just, when I said mocha pot, it stopped at, I think, mocha. Let's just hear that last word again. Make black coffee using a mocha. Yeah, so just the first P, you could hear that, but it's just cut the last scene, right? So 3 changes here, and that's where we're going to go back to the storyboard and just quickly correct these things. All right, so we are back to the storyboard just to fine-tune those 3 errors that this had made, okay? So quickly, let's first of all tackle the last scene, okay? Because that'll be easy to do. So I'm going to go all the way down because it has just eaten up a bit of that ending, right? So you can see here clearly the last scene, which is scene number 38, has been removed. It's only 1 second. So in all probability, this is that particular scene, right? So we're going to just hit this button that says restore scene. And then what we can do is just to make sure, just play this, okay? So you can just see that OT of the pot, right? So just this. Yeah, so that's what we needed. So we're going to restore this. So one task is done. Then remember, somewhere around 4 minutes, 25 seconds, we had that one extra scene, okay, which was just kind of didn't make sense. The camera was just focusing on the pot, and you can probably see that was a very short scene, right? That's how you can come to know which one is it going to be. So you can see here, it's pretty much 0 seconds. It is a part of the video because it's not removed. So if you just play this, so this was the one which was just not needed because it completely was different than the other scenes, right? So this time we can do the opposite. This time we can remove this scene. Okay, that's how easy it is. And finally, a bit more of a complex situation was where it had eaten up some of the words. That was somewhere around 3 minutes 7 seconds. So let's go back. You can see the numbers here. Okay, so at around, yeah, so we've got 2 scenes here that have been removed, right? One of them probably will be the one which we'll need to add. So remember, it just started off with stove. It had eaten up the words before that. So we for sure now know, thanks to these captions, okay, that, where it's starting. So if you can just see that scene again, this is a part of the video. So we just hit play.
Gas stove, then make sure this is done.
Yeah,
then make sure this is done on low flame.
So somewhere before this, right? So we are probably looking at this scene. So we're going to hit restore here. And this is 5 seconds long. So hopefully this should be the start of that scene. Let's just check.
Right, so we are all set. Now, one important thing, if you're doing it on a kind of a gas.
All right, so gas and stove. So this will be perfect. So we can just, we've already included this and that's all. So you can see it's pretty easy once you know where those errors were to quickly fix them. But sometimes you still might need to do even more advanced editing. Okay, maybe it was all not so perfect and you needed to trim things a bit, split the scene somewhere more manually. Then what you can do is, let me just show you that a proper editing is also possible for each scene. Okay, so let's look at like a long scene. So let's say if we had something like this one. Okay, let's just play this.
Right, so the coffee powder is inside this, and
so one thing is
the coffee powder is inside.
So one thing is, you can hit this edit button. Now this is for editing the captions. So if you feel the captions are wrong, okay, and if captions are really important to you, okay, remember we've chosen the option to have those burned in captions. They're actually going to be visible later on once we export the video. We've still not exported the video, okay? So if there's any issues with the captions, you can change it here. And another thing, so let's say I'm happy with the captions, I can just hit yes. But another thing that you can do is if you hit these dots here, you get a couple of things here. Maybe you want to make this scene the intro scene, okay, or the outro scene. You can do that, or play from this scene until the end of the video. So this is going to become like the starting scene. But you can also trim the scene. So if I hit trim scene, you can move these 2 sliders around to just maybe edit the video afterwards. Like you can just take out certain parts of it by dragging these sliders around. And then it's going to just skip this earlier part away like this. Now it's going to start from here if I hit on save. But I'm not going to do that because this scene was already perfect. Another way of doing this is you can also split it. So just see here. So you can just hit this option that says enable scene splitting. You're going to get these scissor-like icons next to the captions. And this is where this time you'll not be editing the caption itself. If you hit this, this is actually going to just cut away from that scene. So maybe I don't want this word, that first scene which says right. So I can just...
Right, so the coffee powder is inside this and you can see it's pretty loose. I'm not really...
And the moment I do that, you can see that it has basically kind of created an extra scene now where right, just that word...
Right, so the...
Right?
Right, so the... Right, so the...
It's taken a bit of that, but yeah, it's mainly this scene where I'm saying right, and let's just play this. So it's kind of created 2 scenes from one, and if I just play this.
So the coffee powder is inside this, and you can...
And maybe I just wanted to get rid of this, then I can just, since these are 2 scenes now, I can just delete this one. Okay, so we just only start from this one.
So the coffee powder is inside this, and you can see it's pretty...
Right, so sometimes yeah, it can just be a bit confusing. Don't worry, you'll kind of get used to this. So this is fine, and once you're done with these changes, okay, you can just gonna go back to the preview, okay? So you're just gonna go back to the preview export, and you're gonna hit render now again, and then it's just gonna render this whole thing again. You can see, you'll again be getting a notification by email that yes, with all these changes also now your project is ready. So let's see the final output. All right, so I just got the email right now that the project is ready, as you can see here. So we are gonna hit this button which says preview and export. And let's just quickly see those 3 mistakes if they were solved or not. So let's go to the end.
Because then it's gonna be like an American, how you make black coffee using mocha pot.
Right, so that is corrected. Let's quickly see the second one, which was around 422.
30 seconds after the gargling sound, and you're just going to probably get your coffee. Right, so the coffee.
Yes, it has removed that extra scene. Finally, around 3.7, we had this issue where I placed the
induction. Right, so we are all set.
And you can see, so that all the three things have been corrected pretty smoothly. It didn't take us too much time. Now, just one thing, okay, before we export this video, okay, is that under the settings, like I told you, you can change a lot of things here. One of the things is that I've tried this, okay. Now I was recording this particular video just through the mic, the inbuilt mic on the phone. So I was not using an external mic. So one is the studio voice, it's automatically selected. It does a good job. It kind of improved the audio, there's no doubt, from the unedited video. I've also tried this background noise cancelling, okay? And this just doesn't do a good job. Now I'm not going to show you this because if I enable this, the whole rendering process will take place again, okay? So, and it takes like 15 to 16 minutes again to get that email. So it's going to take a lot of time. And the reason this is right now not good is because I've tried it on a couple of different videos. And what this does is it does remove the noise, but it also kind of gives your voice a very fake, muffled like voice kind of a look, which has, all the high pitch has been kind of removed from it. But more importantly, it eats up a lot of words that you're saying. Okay, so along with the noise, even a lot of words are taken away. So I'm not a big fan of this background noise cancelling. So I'm going to be talking about this later on when we talk about is Wisecut worth it or not, that it may be a better idea to, if you're making videos for Wisecut, to have good audio in the first place when you're filming your videos, okay? But we'll come back to that point later. Right now, let's just go to preview and export. And since we are on the free plan, we'll be able to export it in HD quality only, which is 720p. And language is English, everything is good. We want the burned in caption, so let's hit export. And now we just have to wait for this to finish.